harassed and bothered this Rolling Stone woman. The things Andrew says and does, I mean, I get asked...
What don't you like about his views?
Well, the major one, when people say, oh, Tristan, now that you've converted to Islam, I'm like, I haven't converted to Islam. Who says I converted to Islam? No, I'm an Orthodox Christian, and I have not converted to Islam.
What do you think of his conversion?
And I think that it's not my place to even comment on it. Now, some of the greatest religious discussions I have had have been with Andrew since his reversion, since him reading the Quran, most of it, of which he covered in prison. And we sit there and discuss these various ideas, but I believe that individual religious conviction is exactly that, it's individual. And I don't believe, whether I'm his brother, whether I'm his son, mother, uncle, I have no place to tell him what his religious conviction should be, just as he has no business to tell me mine. So I'm happy for him because he's become a happier and better person.
Are you rivals?
Yes, oh absolutely, but in the best and most healthy way. I can't watch him train in the gym for an hour in the morning and then not train for an hour myself. I can't sit there drinking and relaxing and partying while he's on his laptop working.
Do you ever fight?
No, never. We never argue.
You never physically fight?
Well, we used to physically fight all the time. We're both professional athletes, so we used to beat each other up in the ring for sparring.
Who would win?
Oh, Andrew would win. I was good. I was the European champion at my peak, but Andrew was built for Andrews. I mean, see my broken nose? It leans this way. First time it was broken was by him, and it got weaker after that, and I had it broken twice subsequently in kickboxing matches. But yeah, we are rivals in the way that we inspire each other to work better and to be better, but not rivals in any way that his success would upset me or my success would upset him.
When you were in jail together,
yes.
So for a period of that 3 months, you were actually in the same cell, I think.
Indeed, for about half of it.
What did you talk about when it's just you and him, and you're thinking we may never get out of it?
Lots of things. Books, religion, the case, obviously, explaining, trying to understand.
When you're in a cockroach-infested tiny cell together,
yes,
you've gone from being the top G and his brother with your Bugattis, your cigars, the lifestyle, the women, and so on, to literally nothing in a very degrading environment that you find yourself in, and you've got no idea how this plays out or how it ends, or even if you get out. I mean, that's a big moment.
Yeah, I guess it is a big moment, but I always knew that we were going to be okay. You know, even when I was separate from him, I wasn't worried that he was banging his head against the wall or self-harming or doing anything stupid. Again, he wasn't worried about me. We obviously weren't worried that the other brother, and I know you can't share in this conviction, I know he's not a criminal. I know he has no skeletons in his closet and no criminal past. He knows exactly the same about me. So we were very relaxed. I guess in jail I was more relaxed than I am now, because in prison I assumed that the prosecutor, whose job by the Romanian constitution, by the way, he's not a district attorney like in the United States where he is told he has to argue that you're guilty and that's it. The prosecutor's job actually here is to discern the truth of the situation. So I was sitting in jail relatively relaxing. Well, this is going to end any day now. I mean, human trafficking, this is stupid. It's not going to happen. Like, they're not going to sentence me to jail for this. It was only when I got out that I learned the true motivations behind this that made me actually more worried than I was in jail. So in jail, I was relatively relaxed. Trained every day. Ate their horrible food, did my push-ups. It was all right. Mental break, no electronics.
Did your mother, was she able to come and see you or not?
No. No, in fact...
Could you speak to her?
For some reason, and I cannot tell you why, I was banned from visitors. That includes my daughter, the mother of my daughter, that includes any friends.
Was Andrew as well?
I don't believe so, but no one tried to visit him. Maybe they were rejected at the prison gate. I don't know, but I was, at one point, it's on file, it's on paperwork, at one point I was banned from receiving visitors.
Could you make calls?
Yeah, there was some phone time, but I didn't make a single call while I was in prison. I spent 3 months without speaking to anybody.
Other than Andrew?
No, only my lawyer, actually. Only my lawyer.
And did you get into similar physical threatening situations that he did?
No. I mean, Andrew had like a few Mexican standoffs, let's say, but I think that jail is a world of realities, and, you know, lots of tough guys, whether they be Romanian or British or American, nowadays the tough guy move is, you've offended me, I'm going to use my phone, I'm going to call the boys, and the boys are going to come beat you up. I think that that is the standard operating procedure in lots of the world. I mean, as Andrew said, I come from a council state, I understand this very well. When you walk into a prison cell, that's not the reality. The reality is, if I start a fight with this guy, it may be 10 to 15 minutes before anyone shows up. And I'm a 6'4", 17.5 stone former kickboxer. Everyone knows me. Everyone knows I'm a professional athlete. So I actually didn't have any problems at all. I would say that everyone was very kind and very respectful to me. Not just because they were intimidated by me. No, absolutely not. Because there were some guys in there who I should have been intimidated by. But I give respect, and I think I receive it back, and I did okay in that environment.
People often say, and it's certainly true from people I've interviewed over the years, that you're a product of your environment, particularly of your parents.
Yes.
In a November 2011 Facebook post, your father, Emery, wrote that the eternal problem of the alpha male was protecting his flock of women. He said, "The times I struck a woman, brackets, in passion, I never left a mark, no trace, hyper control, super control of a human animal. They love me still."
I've never heard that before in my life. I'm smiling, man, because I can imagine his voice saying it.
You can.
I can imagine his voice saying it. The only times I've struck a woman, in brackets, in passion. Have you ever struck a woman in passion, Piers?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Not a little spank?
Well,
Not once?
Let's keep this above board. But
I want to, Piers, but I'm saying, like, I understand how you're trying to phrase this.
No, I don't
and
understand.
Again, my father is dead and can't
No,
defend himself.
I'm not trying to phrase it in any way. I'm just curious what you think he meant by that.
I honestly don't know. I mean, keep in mind, my father died when I was 27, and that post was written a long time ago. I've never heard it before. I've never seen it before.
But what kind of father was he in terms of the values he instilled in you and Andrew?
Oh, he was a wonderful man, and he was a very protective man over his family and the people he cared about. I mean, they got divorced many, many years ago, but even with his dying breath, he would have jumped in to fight 10 men to defend my mother and her honor. That's the kind of guy he was, super protective and super, involved in everyone he loves life, even if he was far away. The phone calls were constant, the emails were constant, and he held us very accountable as young men.
Andrew tweeted last year, "My dad was a chess genius, CIA operative. My mother was a dinner lady. They had nothing in common. Dad said she fed you boys healthy meals every day, cleaned the house, and was largely quiet. I loved her very much. That's literally all men want."
Are you asking if that's an accurate description of my parents' relationship?
Yeah.
Perhaps, yeah. But my mother was a wonderful mother. See, I don't think.
But they split up.
Of course they did. But that does. Well,
so when he says that's literally all men want,
they split up way before I was old enough to understand marriage or sexual or male or female dynamics. By the way, so I can't even comment on their marriage. What I can comment on is how they were as parents. And what I will say is, I don't look back on my childhood raised in a council estate. On state benefits, I was free school lunches. I don't look back on that and think, oh, my mother was a terrible mother because we didn't have any money. Because I don't think it was my mother's job to, I guess, provide as much as my father was doing his best from the United States. But I will look back and say my mother was an absolutely wonderful mother. I had 3 square meals a day. She knew how to manage her finances, didn't smoke, didn't go out with her friends, made sure my clothes were always washed, knew how to mend things. She is.
How does she feel about the fact that both her boys are in this serious legal jeopardy?
Well, you have to understand, she's known us our entire lives, and you haven't. When I was 15, 16, 18, all my friends were selling drugs and breaking into cars. I was down at the kickboxing gym every single day. I would get into the kickboxing ring for 50 pounds after 8 weeks training, just because I found harmony in the discipline that sport gave me. I think kickboxing is largely responsible for keeping me from ever doing anything illegal. Never tried a drug in my life. Never broken a law in my life.
Never broken any law?
Speeding.
Right.
We're talking. I'm talking about serious crimes. And my mother's known that even at my most desperate and my most poor, I would come home to her and sleep on her couch for 6 months, as opposed to do anything illegal, and try to find an honest, good way of legal way at least of making money. So
is she worried about you, the situation you're in?
Well, she's not. She's worried about the situation, but she has no doubt in her mind that I haven't done any heinous things against women, especially for money, because it doesn't make sense that after going through what I've gone through and avoiding any legal problems, suddenly I'm worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and I decide that's the time to start trafficking.
When you look at this whole setup of the war room and the generals and I think Andrew said 4,000 people are members now.
Yes.
When I saw the web chat logs and so on, he says a lot of that isn't true. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see whether that's verified or not. But a lot of the language that's used seems to be that people are being encouraged to spend all this money to join a kind of cult where they are encouraged to treat women as second-class citizens.
Absolutely not true. One, I don't.
But that's what comes over in these.
One, I believe the screenshots you've seen are fake. One, absolutely. 2, I would say I'm a member of the war room. The war room has nothing to do with me. I'm just a war room member like everybody else. And I find lots of great help within the war room, whenever I want to do business with somebody, if I want to transfer money to certain countries, if I want to, find somebody who has talents that I don't, to recruit people, to find people to work for me. That's what I use the war room for. I don't think any network in the world would exist where men sit around and just complain about women and try and treat women as second-class citizens. I mean, surely it would
Well,
be
it's not complaining about them.
I wouldn't want to take part in
It's more
that.
like there's one of the running themes is to get the woman to tattoo your name on herself.
Well, that's clearly not true. What you've read is fake, and it's made up by stupid journalists.
There's 12,000 pages of it.
There's 12,000 pages. Well, it doesn't matter. It's very easy to find some chat logs and enter little lines into it. I don't think that...
It's also very easy to say, yeah, a bit of it was done.
Well,
so
here's the
it's
thing.
fake.
If 4,000 people are talking across hundreds of different rooms 24 hours a day, right now, since the beginning of our interview, probably 300, 400, 500
sure.
messages have been sent inside of the war room. I can't tell you exactly what everyone has said over the last 4 years and what they haven't said. I can't. What I'm saying is, in my experience inside of the war room, that is absolutely not what the war room stands for. That's absolutely not what the war room teaches, preaches, what anyone I know from the war room believes. All the people I know from the war room are happily married men, guys with families, guys with kids, successful businessmen, people who run construction companies, real, honest, great people, and that does not represent us. So I think it's fake.
You guys have preached a message of masculinity, and I'm all in favour of masculinity.
Great.
Many other people have categorised it as toxic masculinity because of the misogyny and so on. Do you feel that maybe you have collectively gone too far in the misogyny, and that has been, again, one of the reasons you find yourself in the problems you're in?
Well, again, when I say... First,
the kind of alpha male
what have I
rhetoric.
Said, what have I said that's misogynistic?
No, I'm just asking you generally whether you feel that's part of the problem.
I don't think that's part of the problem. I don't think it is a problem at all. I think that when somebody has been speaking on the internet for a decade, you have to understand that, first of all, lots and lots of content is produced, and it's very easy to cherry pick and to take things out of context.
Sure.
And number two, the man speaking on the internet 10 years ago is not the man sitting and being interviewed by you today. You know, who I was when I was 25, I fancied myself a bit of a dating coach, used to give people advice on how to meet women and how to pick. That's not how I live now. I'm 35, I'm not 25. You at 25, I'm sure, were very vastly different than you are today.